Hello. You've caught me being still alive, inexplicably.
Like a video game boss that just doesn't know when they're beaten, even when they have definitely been beaten. Here I am, on this sofa, ready to go again with another list of things drawn from the pool of 12 video games I've played.
And what topic could be more apt than video game bosses who just won't go away? The ones that you're sure you've seen the last of, when all of a sudden, oh no, back they come, with the same dialogue, the same jokes, the same attacks, maybe a slightly altered appearance, their final form perhaps, but ultimately, the same. Annoying.
Enough with the meta intro. Here are 7 video game bosses who just won't die, starting with the Turks in Final Fantasy VII. Now, the Turks are actually pretty cool, considering they're part of the recurring Final Fantasy boss trope.
They're certainly more palatable than that flying purple octopus thing you have to fight a million times in Final Fantasy VI.
And I've been loving them in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth recently, so they're going in mainly so I've got an excuse to slash through this fight from Chapter 3 again. I mean, look at the choreography, it's like playing Advent Children. Anyway, the Turks are a fine example of that type of recurring boss where you beat them all the time, and often quite easily, yet for some reason, they're always smirking after the fight, like, "Ha, Cloud, is that all you've got?"
What do you mean, is that all I've got? I've literally just kicked your ass for the 14th consecutive time.
It's impossible not to love the Turks, though, from their characterful appearances throughout the original Final Fantasy VII to their slick reimagining in Remake and Rebirth. Fighting this charismatic quartet is always enjoyable, so we can forgive their inflated sense of their own combat prowess and the fact they just don't know when to quit. In Rebirth, you get an extra dollop of backstory too. Well, that is to say, we now know Rude is a member of an exclusive, bald-only social club in the city of Junon.
If you want to drink with us, you're gonna have to lose the helmets. No scout, no service.
Can I join?
From Final Fantasy to Metal Gear Solid, because what other games are there? Our second entry is Liquid Snake. Now, the bosses in this list come in 2 varieties. There are those who refuse to die across a series of games, reinventing themselves across sequels and console generations, and those who confine their refusal to go away to just the one game. Liquid Snake kind of has a foot in both camps, what with his assimilation by Ocelot over the course of the series.
But there may be first-time viewers watching who don't know anything about Metal Gear, and I'm not going to sit here confusing you all with complex Metal Gear lore in a simple list feature, okay? That's not the kind of person I am. I don't go on about Metal Gear all the time.
So we'll stick to his many appearances across the original Metal Gear Solid for now, because in this one game, Liquid Snake should die 5 times, but somehow only dies once. His first escape happens when you shoot down the helicopter he's piloting, resulting in both a hot explosion and a cold one-liner.
That takes care of the cremation.
Except it doesn't, because a few hours later, Liquid's back.
After a big pantomime villain flourish where he reveals he's been acting as Master Miller the whole time, he hops inside Metal Gear Rex for his second unfair fight with Snake.
I mean, if an incredibly sophisticated, highly powerful gunship doesn't work, try a 50-foot nuclear mech instead.
Snake wins this by firing a Stinger missile into the cockpit, marking the second time Liquid should die but doesn't. Next, it's a one-on-one fistfight on top of Metal Gear, which Snake finishes by booting his twin off the edge.
Is third time the charm?
It isn't. Here's Liquid moments later chasing down Snake and Meryl in a truck. After an exchange of pot shots, they both crash. Liquid's vehicle is T-boned, and for the 4th time in as many hours, Liquid should be a goner.
And yet...
Snake!
Just when it seems as though Liquid has the upper hand, Fox Die kicks in, marking the 5th time he should die, and the first time he actually does.
And that's it then, he's dead. No more unlikely comebacks for Liquid. At least none that I can fit into the word count of this entry that have already gone way beyond.
Next up, we've got Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, and...
Can you not, Rosie? You don't have to do that every time someone mentions Nemesis. Are you done? Right, entry 3 on our list of video game bosses who just won't die is Resident Evil 3's eponymous villain, Nemesis.
And much like Rosie's admittedly pretty accurate utterances of his catchphrase, Nemesis has a habit of unexpectedly bursting forth when you both least suspect and least want him. It's apt that he's in the title of the original PS1 game, because after the first couple of encounters, the oppressive presence of Nemesis hangs over every second of the game.
Nowhere is safe, not even cutscenes. Nemesis is a threat, even when he's absent.
Every lull in the action, every quiet moment, every seemingly empty corridor echoing with the clip-clop of your very small human footsteps is spiked with an overwhelming sense of what if. You know, what if, even though I definitely just killed him an hour ago with rockets and fire, what if Nemesis jumps out at me armed with a flamethrower?
That anxiety fueled by Resident Evil 3 taking those what-ifs and turning them into, oh my god, there he is again, this is actually happening.
Because Nemesis doesn't stop. He's every Resi boss ever packed into an indestructible undead Terminator. I'm not sure there's a sound more terrifying than the lightning-quick thump of his feet as he streaks after you with uncanny agility, cutting off your escape, hunting you down, at first with his fists, then a flamethrower, then a rocket launcher, before finally settling on being massive and having 4 legs. Eventually, you put an end to Nemesis by rail-gunning a tunnel through his insides.
And even then, squelching through a small valley of pureed zombie innards, I was half expecting some kind of unlikely comeback. But no, turns out I'm safe now. I've reached the end of both the game and this entry. Nemesis can't touch me now.
In at number 4, we've got a boss whose refusal to admit defeat stretches over an entire series and 4 console generations. Virgil, brother and arch-rival of Devil May Cry protagonist Dante, made his first appearance on PS2, and his most recent in Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition on PS5.
And in that time, including the reboot, you fight him 16 times.
16 defeats, Virgil! Usually I rage quit after 3. You know, if at first you don't succeed, try another couple of times and then find something else to do. That's my motto. So you've got to hand it to Virgil. He doesn't quit, and he gets marks for creativity, appearing in different guises across the series, so both Dante and we, the audience, get that exciting moment when we realise who it is we're really fighting.
You probably remember he appears as Nilo Angelo in the original Devil May Cry, with a really cool outfit and even cooler music.
By Devil May Cry 5, however, he's sort of let himself go a bit. Spoilers for Devil May Cry 5, by the way. And instead of a nimble swordsman, Virgil has taken the form of Urizen, a giant tentacly thing that spends most of the game sitting down and giving Dante the side eye through all 57 of its eyes. Eventually, Urizen, essentially the demonic soul of Virgil, fuses with V, his hollow human shell, and the true Virgil is restored for one last go. He loses.
You're putting way too much effort into this sibling rivalry, Virgil. Just settle it with a nice friendly game of Crash Team Racing. That's what I do.
Our 5th entry is a boss so synonymous with the series in which he's in that you've probably stopped noticing he's even a thing. Dr. Robotnik, who we're not calling Eggman, okay, we're just not, is just always there. He is the way of things. Play Sonic, any Sonic, finish a level, and you're probably fighting Robotnik. He's almost a comfort at this point, like when you get home from work after another successful day of being an awful human being, and your dog comes bounding up, loving you anyway.
Except in Sonic, instead of a dog, it's a big, bald, beardy, bespectacled buffoon. Did you think you'd seen the last of me? Well, I'm back. You're never getting rid of me. I'm here forever.
That was me imagining what Dr. Robotnik's internal monologue might be like, and definitely not a cry for help. I don't even know how many times you fight him. I tried looking it up, but Google didn't seem to understand the question, and Rosie also started buffering when I asked her.
So you fight him in,
It's loads, okay? He's never gonna die, ever, because the people who make Sonic just won't let him.
Next, we've got another entry I had to quiz Rosie on, because when I first heard about the Majima everywhere thing in Yakuza Kiwami, my face did something a bit like this. It's hard enough being a Yakuza noob and navigating the series' narrative ins and outs without Goro Majima, who I've been told so many times is one of Rosie's favourite characters, doing what he does in Yakuza Kiwami.
And that is appearing seemingly at random throughout the world to fight Kiryu over and over.
I guess you could say he's like a roguishly handsome Nemesis in that regard, as he pokes out of manhole covers and dustbins and leaps around street corners when you're not expecting him. As to why he's doing this, Majima is actually doling out some tough love for Kiryu, whose fighting prowess has waned after serving time in prison. Determined to test himself against a fully fit Kiryu,
It's like something out of Dragon Ball Z, this.
Majima hatches a plan to restore Kiryu's abilities by fighting him in a series of surprise encounters, which you might think sounds bananas, but actually...
I've been following a similar fitness regime myself in 2024, where you essentially play whack-a-mole with someone you have a love-hate relationship with. You know, you're going to just spring out at you randomly, bop 'em one, and then within a few months, you start to see some results.
Majima's antics might be unconventional, but his refusal to back down ultimately comes from a place of love and respect. And plus, I just kind of like his style. I think he's going on my boyfriend list as well, Rosie. Our final entry is Kazuya Mishima, inheriting the mantle of Tekken Patriarch after his dad Heihachi got thrown into one volcano too many and finally died for good during the events of Tekken 7.
In Tekken 8, the amount of times you defeat Kazuya only for him to immediately spring back, ready to go again, is quite frankly outrageous.
And we're not even counting the number of times you fought and killed him in previous games. This is a guy who, aged 5, was chucked in a ravine by his dad, A, just for the lols, Heihachi's a terrible person, but also B, to coax out some kind of latent superhuman devil gene.
To be fair to Heihachi, this did actually work. Kazuya did have the devil gene, and so he clambered out of that ravine, aged 5, ready to spend the next goodness knows how many years of his life yearning for revenge.
With revenge ticked off, next on Kazuya's to-do list is kill my son, one Jin Kazama, also a possessor of the devil gene, who you control through Tekken 8's main story mode as he dukes it out with his dad. Straight away they're at it. You'll use Kazuya's face to level a building.
Whatever.
But it's not until the climax of the game that things go full anime. Spoilers for Tekken 8's story mode here, by the way. You've been warned. After watching his dad power up into true Devil Kazuya form, Jin has a full-on protagonist moment.
You know, one of those moments where time conveniently slows down to allow the main character to realise something about themselves.
What Jin realises about himself is that he can turn into Angel Jin, and also that it might be a cool idea to fight true Devil Kazuya on top of a meteor hurtling towards Earth. And he's right, it is cool, especially the bit where he and Kazuya punch each other so hard they literally smack the DNA out of each other. Even with his genetic material thumped out of him, Kazuya isn't ready to fold. You've still got to KO him another 6 times before he finally accepts defeat. This is a guy who's been at it since 1995 though, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he isn't done yet. Nice water graphics on this bit as well.
Fight.
And there you go. There's our list of 7 video game bosses who just keep going, well beyond their expiry date.
Let us know in the comments if you can think of any other examples. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and click the notification bell to make sure you never miss out on any of our videos. Thanks for watching, and catch you again soon.